Good. All right, well, thank you everyone for being here today for our meeting. Our agenda really is to provide some updates from committees that have been meeting or are meeting, and then go through our notice letters. Hopefully we'll be able to prioritize what we want to start working on from the letters and make sure we all know when we're going to be back here again. And I hope I didn't miss a committee. So if I did, I know someone will let me know. The first update that I have is from the Extracurricular Academic Support Salary Schedule Committee. Longest name ever. We did get snowed out one day, but we rescheduled it and have been able to meet. I think we've worked through all the proposals that have come to the committee. We've got an additional meeting for kind of a subcommittee meeting Monday, though, because we're getting a lot of proposals from different academies for the additional work that's tied to academies. So that meeting on Monday will help inform the next committee meeting, which is the 20th of March. I believe that's our next professional council day. So that'll be a good long day for those of you on the committee. I think when we get back together again, then we'll be ready to start prioritizing and ranking those proposals to be able to bring a proposal to professional council. And then we've kind of identified long-term, probably launching into next year, then the committee would like to take a look at the pages in the agreement that are like the other district stipends that have like the instructional rate of pay and supervisory rate of pay and those kind of things. So yeah, that's ECAS. Okay. And calendar committee, we have the committee's doing some homework right now and reviewing drafts of the professional development calendar, the employment calendar, and the grade and reporting dates document. Just last minute looks so that we can approve those next week. I think we meet next, whatever day the 5th is. I don't know, but next week though. And then we will, Tuesday. And then our next task is to begin developing or working on the school year calendar for 25-26. If you can even believe that.
A question. I don't know what the current status is about the start of the school year starting in 25-26. Do we know if the legislature has moved on that at all? And if that needs to be a consideration?
I don't know where.
That it would be starting after Labor Day. Yeah.
I think he probably
go back and okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Kind of proceed as usual and then.
If we're doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question though.
Yeah.
Right. You can just sit there for a while. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
All right. John, salary schedule. Yep. Well, otherwise the print is so small.
Anyway, start three documents that the committee has worked on. First is some policy revision. Now that we have the salary schedule, we realize that we have some outdated language and need to clarify a few things. The second document is also some impact on just the wording we put on our salary schedule, a couple specific note that we want to put on the salary schedule every time we publish it. And the third document is really the years of experience. It will be an internal schedule that's used in determining that somebody with experience has the district salary schedule. So let me start with the policy language. The committee was recommending that in the placement we add some language that says new hires will typically be placed in a step corresponding to their accredited experience based on the average years of experience of employees in each cell as calculated in January of each year. We went through that exercise this year, looking at as of June 30 coming up, what will be the years of experience in each cell, and that's what ends up being that third sheet. It doesn't work out smoothly. In some places, you had more years of experience in the cell above the next cell. So the committee basically did some smoothing when those types of events happened and try to make it a little more linear. You'll notice early, like bachelor schedule, bachelor columns, everybody kind of went to the top of the new schedule, so you don't see a lot of years of experience happening in those columns. But this language just spells out that that's how we would place, and we do that every January. We relook at what's the average in each one of the cells.
And do you want to share why January, why we settled on?
January is basically because of the column movement. Everything, the bulk of the column movement has been, and people have moved to account a better snapshot of each step.
Thank you.
Going down a little further into the bulletin section, C, we added in the very last bullet that applicants with applications, like if you believe your placement's incorrect, we really want that to occur in the first year somebody questions that versus the 10th year. Now, if there's an egregious mistake, the language still allows HR to fix that, but really, once you're placed, please review it. By the end of that first year, we'll make any adjustment necessary, because it will really impact those years of service, the average years of service that we're placing people on if you don't get those corrections done. So the group was recommending that. Just below that, we have still had some very old language about compression that when we went to salary schedule years and years ago. So we were looking to strike that language. That it's over and then down. When you're going to the MS column, we have this case this year that we've worked through. You may be in that bachelor's group and you have a lot more years of experience, but you've been maxed out in your column. That when you do move to master's, there could be a catch up. Like I have 15 years, whereas the people with 15 years in that master's column. So it wouldn't be just a single step, it's a placement, as if you're coming from outside of the school district. And just spelling out that each year we will look at that, we'll meet as a committee and determine what's the new average years of service in each one of the cells, and is there any minor adjustments that we have to make. The rest of the policies untouched. With regards to the salary schedule itself, so we made recommended a few just illustrated changes. It's not really a placement chart anymore. It's not, because we're really trying to be very clear, these are not years of experience. So remove the word placement chart and add a note at the bottom. So if I'm a teacher looking to come to Olathe, I don't just assume that those numbers mean that's my years of experience. It says the steps noted on this schedule do not equate to years of service. Experienced new hires should refer to the policy or seek guidance from the Human Resources Department, because they can help guide them about where we should be on our schedule based on this experience. Finally, this is in essence is this one for next year. So as of 6/30/24, we measured it in January. This would be the years of service or placement of experienced staff. So if I have a MS-12 and I have 9 years of experience, I go down, the range is 8 to 10. So I would be at 59.26. I was master's 36, with 6 years of experience, be on that 13th step, because the average in that cell, the average years of experience for that particular cell is 6 years. And this would move every year in January. Not trying to not be transparent. The reason we really settled that this is an internal use, it will get extremely confusing if this starts moving year after year and you have Blue Valley teacher looking online and trying to figure out where are they placed. We'd rather have a call HR to understand this is where you get placed. Not a great secret, but we thought we'd keep that more internal placement schedule once we decided. Did I miss anything? Anybody else?
Question?
Sure.
June 30th, 2024.
So that's just for calculating the experience that people will.
Yes.
So that's
Okay.
the answer to the question, is this year included in these numbers? The answer is yes,
And then
because you're looking at new hires for next
That
year.
makes
Yes.
couple minor things,
Yes.
experience is on the top.
Yes.
ID.
Thank you.
And then on the language, the 15 language. I think you probably don't even. That makes sense. It's not.
Oh, that last bullet.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is that this is it's more of a transitional tool, but hopefully as time goes on, you will have fewer and fewer people that are in the using part of this, that then 5 years down the road, people will march together. It will gradually become truer, the steps correspond with years, depending on what we negotiate each year.
Somewhat similar to our old schedule. Those brackets kept looking.
Right. Yeah.
We should start out. Otherwise, I think, what is the terminology we use? It sort of goes in the folder.
The draft consensus. Mhm. Well, I missed the last appraisal meeting, so, and I think, yeah, that would be good. We technically really didn't adopt the agenda, so we're just kind of freewheeling it right now, you know, so, yeah. Anybody need to take a break? I'm finding the shot. Mhm. Yeah, if he comes back and is like, then sure. I know Angie's catching a plane tonight, so she has to jet out of here. No. Oh. We were working on committee updates, and so when you catch your breath, could you give us an appraisal update?
So we met last
Mhm.
week. And we are coming along, so we have spent this year narrowing down the specific rubric and landed on the keep two is kind of the starting point or foundation, if you will. So we had some edits and changes that we come out of some of our small group work there. So we got that updated last week. So we feel like we're to a point of having a pretty good final draft, if you will, of the general educator rubric. So our next phase of things will be to do another just review of that rubric and making sure that it covers all that we want it to cover. And we talk about sources for information. We've got everything there. And then alongside that, we are launching into the small subcommittee groups that are going to work on those specialized rubrics. So that's like the OTPT, school psych, whole period. There's about 11, if I remember correctly. So beginning tomorrow, I'm meeting with those subcommittee heads, if you will. So those are individuals that are within special education that kind of lead up the OTs, PTs, whatnot. So I'm meeting with Anjanette Tolman and the subcommittee leaders, and then the other specialized rubrics are really people that are housed in learning services. So working with Dr. Reeves and then those subcommittee heads. So Kelly Tynes will be working on kind of the instructional coach one and so forth. And then giving them kind of a sample of a rubric in that area that is already housed in KEEP. Not that they would have to use that, but is maybe just something to give a little bit of additional reference and resource. And then providing them with our KEEP general educator template. So one of the questions I've had already is, do these specialized rubrics have to have the exact same constructs and components as the general educator rubric? And they do not. Because when we talk about things like classroom management, that would probably not be a component to a speech and language pathologist, rubric. So, so they really, when they're looking at keeping consistency with that general educator rubric, what I'm asking them to do is build their drafts using the same the same Likert rating scale and some of those things, and providing them that keep the general educator template to kind of get an idea of how it's organized, and making sure that we've got that same level of detail in the rubrics for the ratings as well. So those groups, those committee heads will start working with their staff groups on those rubrics next. And then our next meeting, I think it's after spring break, probably. I think what I had as targeted to do next was to begin looking at the student performance component, because we obviously are required to have that in our process too. So we'll start taking a look at what that currently looks like in the KEEP kind of world and work on that phase next. Oh, is it? Okay.
Next one.
That sounds about right. Because I think
Because March just,
that would start right.
yeah.
Just for note's sake, one that's KEEP, that's like just KEEP as in.
Yeah, it's an acronym.
Got
Kansas Educator Evaluation Protocol.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I think someone asked, I don't remember who asked last time about getting feedback on that general ed rubric. And I don't know if the committee talked about that last time.
I think we probably need to, what I had kind of for long range plan was for us to get through the student performance component, get through the process piece, and then we'll start talking about kind of some of the training and some of those things. So I think we can have a conversation then of, okay, what do we want to, how do we want to get feedback? What do we want that to look like? And kind of have some conversations with the group there.
That would probably not be till next fall.
Oh,
Those letters in?
Very good.
Right. Oh, right there. All right.
Yeah.
So one of the items we had noticed was in looking at leave, and just to give a little bit of a refresher, this was something we had discussed last year at the table, and had worked on some language, and then NEA had asked for us to hold that and took it off the table, and we put together a group of paid time off committee that met this last year to kind of evaluate what we might be looking at or what staff might be interested in. We did a survey, and so we have a plan to come forward with some language that would be converting our annual illness bereavement and personal leave to paid time off. And then a second piece to that is looking at providing coverage for days that staff currently have to utilize if and when they have an injury that's occurred as a result of a student interaction. In part of that workman's comp policy, and so making sure that we can have some coverage there, but that also we're not falling out of compliance for workman's comp. That is kind of our intent this time.
Yeah, I know we had on there teams take turns. You want me to disconnect? You want her to bring both.
Oh, yeah, no, let's just.
My friends are gonna keep out reading.
That's wonky. Yeah, let's just keep going.
Okay, all right.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, I don't know if you know this or not, but adjustments to the start and end time. We know that there's a requirement for 30 additional minutes of plan time. In addition to what's already being represented in the negotiated agreement, that was something that was agreed upon in the 22-23 negotiations. And then there's an elementary scheduled task force. There's been one meeting so far, and another one coming up next week.
Yeah.
One of the days. And so that'll be an area that we need to continue to look at.
This is me again.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So this is an item that we actually had worked out language back in 21-22, but the language we had agreed upon, we decided to put in a sunset clause that it would conclude at the end of this year. And that was in relation to those two policies that are related to discipline and suspension that allowed an option for us to put somebody on paid suspension. And so this is just language to look at continually and having that included.
Okay, I think this is mine, under compensation, obviously in addition to other compensation topics that we're talking about. There was some, policy language under the longevity pay, portion of the P and A. And, really this is to kind of clarify the verbiage to line up with practice, but to clarify continuous service, because for that longevity pay, for example, if someone to the district for 5 years, left for 2 years, and then came back and worked another 2 years. That break in service and dealing with longevity pay there. We'd like to clarify that as continuous service for longevity pay. And then in the same vein, personal leave also, where those extra days are earned through the length of service. Obviously, if someone leaves the district and then comes back, we want to look at that and try and clarify that to continue service as has been the practice. And then also with accrued leave, just to clarify that obviously if someone again works for 5 years, leaves the districts and comes back and starts working again, that accrued leave, clarifying that accrued leave doesn't return when they come. Yep.
So this is just this was an item that we included in our letter to just provide transparency on some salary beyond the schedule that we are going to be offering to specified teachers in these special education specialized programs in the buildings. And we intend to offer that to the staff that will be filling those positions that are continuing. So anybody that's in any of those specific classrooms as a teacher for the 24-25 school year, that we provide an additional $3,000 beyond the schedule and compensation for them. To just give a little background on where that kind of rooted from, these are positions that we have historically, at least for the last 3 or 4 years, have had 1 or even more positions that have been vacant, sometimes even the entire year, that we have not been able to fill. And obviously, as you can see from the specific classrooms we're talking about, these are then, of course, pretty significant classrooms with significant needs, which we know then takes a toll on the staff in those buildings, but then also has a direct impact too on the services we're providing to students. And so we really felt like we needed to do something to help with that recruitment and retention of those staff members specifically. So that was included in our letter to make sure we were being transparent about that. And then we referenced the language that's in the P&A program that we're utilizing as the foundation for that offering.
And I don't know, oh, sorry, jumping right in question, sorry about that.
Right there.
Yeah. I don't know that you had any additional like presentation planned for that, but I think if not, we may consider just having a section of a meeting where you can really flesh out that data so that we can help communicate absolutely the openings that we have continued to have, the applicant pool for those positions. I think that will really help with our communication about that. You didn't touch on the MOU. We're still going to talk about that, right? All the things related to the MOU. Okay. Yes. All right.
we also clarify to them. That was something we intended to do for 24, 25. It was not, you know, would be an ongoing kind of offer in 24,
Assess.
25. It's a positive impact. From there, so.
All right. First person to connect gets to share their screen. I'm trying. What is the pin?
The code
608.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love that. In unison, everyone, all together. Ooh. Yay. No, that's not what I wanted to do. No. Oh, you're gonna have fun transitions in there. All right. All right. It goes right to our pack fund.
Did out of that Rick Astley song.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have some, I'm really glad that we have scheduled this many meetings that we can get together. We do have a lot to work on, and I really believe that we can tackle it with all these dates. All right, so under compensation and main focus is just on being able to recruit staff to our district and retain them when they get here. So our purpose is to, once we've figured out our budget and our information, to be able to increase salaries, work on step movement for our staff who've been here, as well as column movement. Really, I know that being able to hopefully move to this new salary schedule will make that easier for us, hopefully. We would like to enhance the salary schedule, so I guess the structure of the salary schedule, so that our bachelor's columns don't max and that they have unlimited, steps that fill in, and then as well as, if someone's going to be in the bachelor's column for 40 years, they would still get an increase at that 0.006 index. We'd like to talk about a capacity overload compensation provision. So working with the district as the district begins to outline those capacities for grade levels, buildings, programs, as we move towards open enrollment, then being able to look at if something were to increase significantly, and we'll talk about that, what that maybe additional compensation could be if we can't stay in line with a fairly close capacity amount for those programs. And then hopefully we'll have our extracurricular academic support recommendations to the council by April. That's kind of our hope, if you will, early April, so that we can have those in front of us with a cost.
the amount of work. We also a little bit more verifying certified educators contract, like less than 240 days, not be required to report for work on school cancellation days. We had some misapplication of contract that some staff experienced this year when they were directed to work based on based on work site rather than contract. So just getting that clarified in the contract. So that did cause some teachers illness leave for the day that they were directed to report. So we just want to make sure we have that clarified.
So essentially ditto on the PTO. I think you summarized that very well. That was
Great minds think alike.
Right, that has come from the work of that committee. And then we would like to have additional language addressing the job-related assault. And so that, yeah, that's, yeah, something that was mentioned earlier as well. And then the last one is thinking of that retention piece, especially our new educators and thinking about K-3 and all of those things, proposing a match to the 403B for all certified staff to help enhance their retirement, but also their retention and potentially recruitment as well. Lots of work, especially with newer educators, and understanding that whole process would probably have to be a part of that. But encouraging their participation in the 403B by providing.
This is just kind of a reclarification of the memorandum of understanding we previously agreed to. We agreed as a council to discuss scheduling of common PLC times, structure of academic intervention and extension times in our secondary level, our high school bell schedule, the 300 minutes of elementary plan time that will be new next year, and kind of meeting some of the needs of our new educators. The reason we put it in our notice letter, we're feeling a lot of urgency from our members that work has been very slow to start. I know our elementary team, our task force just met. I think a middle school meeting was scheduled today.
Grateful. Our middle level educators are definitely eager to learn what's going on next year in terms of timing of our day and intervention and all of that. I'm sorry.
No, not at all.
And so we're really grateful that meeting's happening, I think, on Monday. So, but I think the high school committee should follow suit, probably. Yeah.
But just, reclarifying, we're experiencing a lot of kind of tumultuous changes. And I think the encouragement of hearing as much educator voice as possible as we continue to discuss these is for the best.
And the last piece is just that there's not a whole lot that's different here than what we requested in the past. The only other thing I would mention is, as we've been preparing different things, we've come back several times to how helpful it was last year to have that presentation that Sean gave, where we kind of went through the different weightings and what we forecast. So we kind of had a shared understanding of where we think money looks like it's going to be. So we'll be very appreciated to have something like that again. Great.
Oh, gosh. So any questions about notice items? Yeah. So that kind of leads us into prioritizing what we want to work on, and if we have some alignment or some common interests, if you will. That.
Or 20.
Wonder if that means maybe we don't shoot and work on workers' comp and PTO.
The leave.
Yeah, the leave.
Mhm.
Both have better.
I know. Mm. Mm. Right, me too. It's a mess. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, that's a good question.
No.
We know that there's gonna be some change in the way things are worded in the elementary scheduling.
Right.
Lots of ABCD references.
Yep.
Computer lab in there.
Mhm.
Think about like, oh, Shelby. Starting to look at.
Whittle
the
away.
Elementary scheduling
Mhm.
document. Need to change. There may be some things that weren't further discussion, and there may be some things we would be able to say, okay, that's no longer, that's different. That kind of- Your thoughts on that?
I wasn't gonna jump in. I was actually thinking kind of to that point, should the work on things we're very close to, I believe, close to getting together on the same page on, should that work be handled almost in subcommittee between if the three of us were to work, we can bring proposed language to the negotiation table so that I feel like to expedite the process a little bit. I think everybody at this table is interested in getting information to staff as quickly as possible. Thoughts to the group?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Down for it.
Do you think we need oh, Clint's gone. Okay, I'm gonna ask everybody else then. Okay. Should we just designate, I mean, obviously we'll have a few committee updates for that 20th meeting. Should we just designate that day for the leave policy, or do you think you would have maybe like data on those openings or those positions that could come back, something, I don't know.
On special education
Mhm.
ones.
Is that too soon? Mhm. And then I mean, I can circle back with Clint as we build the agenda, but we definitely can launch into that leave language on the 20th.
Do you think there's enough time in that meeting to knock out two things, or you just want to focus on?
I would like to focus on two things or more. I mean,
So we want to do the page and off one and the workman's comp one, but or do you want to separate those to do the page and off and especially
Approaching.
I think we probably both need to bring our proposals for the paid time off. Our workers' comp related policy is separate from leave. So, okay. I think, yeah, I think we could try to both sides bring both of those to that meeting. I think that would be a good goal to have. Anybody have any other suggestions, or do you feel like those are two big rocks that we'll be able to tick off?
I think that sounds great because I think the MOU will bring, we have a lot to talk about.
Mhm.
in that,
Yeah.
so.
And we know compensation is going to have to wait until we get budget information and can work through that process. So, yeah.
For for the purpose of this negotiation session, are we still keeping the draft consensus folder? I know we just moved salary schedule in there, but just,
We have.
okay, all right, just
the-
checking, just
Yeah.
making sure.
So
Now that
we-
we're really in the meat and potatoes.
We have the inclusive language already
Mhm.
in there. And there's one other thing that I can't remember what it is right now, but we've already ticked that off, so. I really think Chris wants to work on the elementary scheduling document. I see him barely holding back. I'm kidding.
I'm sorry. So I get for missing the last. That's what happens. Right, you got voted on a bunch of stuff.
Mhm, yeah. So Clint, what we decided, because Todd spoke for you while you were out of the room, is that, okay, the next meeting, both teams will bring their leave language policy as well as workers' compensation or job-related injury language for that agenda. So, okay. Okay. All right, well, if that is it for today, then that is it for today.
Nice.
Yeah.